The death of Hollywood star Philip Seymour Hoffman is shining new light on heroin. The number of people using the drug has doubled in 5 years.
And normally it's kind of thought of as an inner city problem, but today there's a very different face of this deadly drug. In tonight's cover story, we explain how heroin is tightening its grip on areas where you may live. Cassie Gallo's live in our social media center with more. Cassie.
Well, Judy, and while on the streets, heroin is usually sold in balloons like this. It's cheap, deadly, and surging in popularity. Take a look at these numbers from Austin Recovery's detox unit. 45% of patients were admitted for alcohol dependency. 53% were admitted for opiates like heroin. The DEA tells me it's everywhere. North Austin, South Austin, Westlake, Round Rock, Suburbs, just about anywhere on the map you'll find it, and users are bringing it back to your neighborhood. The staples of modern suburbia. Beautiful homes, two-car garages, and country clubs. But what about heroin? Behind those tree-lined streets, there's a tall tale of hidden addiction. One that leads to a dark dead end.
I stuck my arm out and my world changed overnight.
For Lane, that suburban world started out ordinary. He lived in a nice neighborhood and went to a good school. That all changed once drugs took over.
I was becoming something that I was completely and utterly disgusted with. You know, I could not stand me anymore.
His path to destruction sat in the medicine cabinet. Experiments with prescription meds morphed into a messy heroin habit.
I would have to drink alcohol just to get the courage to drive into the neighborhood that I was going to have to go to score the heroin. You know, I wasn't brave enough sober.
Like Lane, addicts often go from pills to street drugs. Heroin is easier to find, more plentiful, and cheaper. A bag can cost $10. For the same high, pain pills usually are 3 times more expensive. But in the last few years, prescription abuse in Central Texas spiked significantly among middle-aged, upper-middle-class women, according to Austin Recovery.
It gets extremely stressful, and people, might have 5 or 6 different doctors. It's easier to go to the streets because no one's going to ask questions.
We hit those streets with an undercover officer looking for heroin hotspots.
It's building A. That's the methadone clinic.
To combat the surging threat, they're targeting dealers.
So how bad would you say the problem of heroin is in Austin right now?
It's everywhere. I mean, it's everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
The deadly drug knows no boundaries or bias.
It spans all classes. It's not a middle-class drug. It's not a rich person's drug. It's not a poor person's drug. It's everybody's.
And one so addictive, neighbors you might not expect are getting hooked.
When the doctors will no longer prescribe, I do see that the people then in turn towards the illicit drug market. That's when, your soccer mom will then in turn go and try to score heroin.
To make matters worse, a more potent form of heroin has recently surfaced. It's mixed with a deadly pain medication, fentanyl.
2 to 3 grains, just to put it in perspective, of fentanyl mixed in with heroin could kill a seasoned heroin addict.
In Austin, heroin killed 2 people in just the first month this year.
You do that one?
But Lane was one of the lucky ones, a desperate addict to a family man married with children.
I fell madly in love with Aubrey. I remember wondering what such an incredibly beautiful woman would want to do with a guy like me.
After 28 years, trapped, he found a way out. Not only a survivor, but someone who now mentors thousands going down the same dark path that almost took his life.
We haven't stopped getting high. We just had to find a new way to do it.
Some reports say only 18% of heroin addicts never use again after getting sober. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, there are several programs that can help. Go to our website, kitv.com, and look for my story for more information. Live in the studio, Cassie Gallo, KI TV News.